Look after your coat so she can dance. Everyone. Around the island you must go. Take a trip, also slow. Take a trip, just like a tree in a tropical breeze. Now you're to do here, look. Like they do. Hey, Maria, what am I typing? Me. It's all about me. Maria wants me to tape her. The baby. Not going either. Around the island we must go. Take a trip to and fro. Take a trip to and a tropical breeze. Now you're to do the whole Jean, you like that? Do it yourself.
Oh. No, you like all things so no. Ready, son? Me and you? Kiana, you gonna do it with mommy?
Sean. Is that the right chord? Silent Night?
Yeah, sing it. Where's Kalea and Lauren?
Go.
See what you want now.
Oh, sorry.
Do what you want.
Silent Night.
That's fine.
It's Jessie.
Oh, that's fine.
This is when she said.
He's queen. Yeah, see?
So let's take photos in there.
It's Uncle Tommy.
What were the highlights of your rugby? Tommy have kids.
Look at Auntie Fiona.
Enjoying yourself on Nanny's.
Hi, Bubba. Teen, look at me. Look at me, you witch. Look at me with love in your eyes. With your eyes stuttering. Yeah. Come in, Caleb Wayne, go in front of Auntie Teen. Over here.
Jeez.
Thank you.
And I don't come from a whale. My name is William Wayne Cody. I was named by my father after my dad. But the funny thing about my birth certificate, I want to say this about it. When I joined the police force, my birth certificate was William Wayne Pakibana. And I found out through research that the headmaster that registered me at the Nyaka school only knew my father as Pakibana, not Taurima. So he just wrote it down in the birth certificate. And when I got my birth certificate from the for the police force, they had to go and re-register me again to get my real name.
So he's got, now got 2 passports.
So I got 2 birth certificates.
And 2 passports.
My father was still celebrating my birth, I understand.
When he's drunk.
Okay, to register you as your grandmother.
When he's drunk, Mum.
Can you tell me who would be the most significant person in your life?
What?
Who would have been the most significant person in your life, or what role model?
Well, I must admit that it's been allies, my wife. The real reason I say that is that she's got a great nature and a great character. And she's a very, very hard worker. And the greatest charm she has is that she has great love for her children and her grandchildren, especially her grandchildren. They just love their grandmother to bits. Little Caleb Wayne, when you see when he comes over here to stay with his grandmother for the day, if there's any other members of the family here, he gets put out that he can't have his grandmother to himself.
Wait till I have mine.
And Alice has always shown that charm and that helpfulness. And of course, I think I've really appreciated over the last 3 years since I've been sick. I've never had anybody to rely on but to her. I mean, and part of those 3 years, she had to wash me. She still does. Shower me and dress me. To go to the hospital and what have you. And I used to get quite emotional about that because I couldn't help myself. But there was my wife dressing me and getting me all cleaned up and getting me ready to go to the hospital and do appointments. And that's why I've always appreciated her.
That was my number 4 question, but here we go. What has been, can you give me one spiritual experience that stands out for you? I know you've had many, but can you give me one?
I suppose when I talk about spiritual experiences, I think of real personal impressions that have changed my life. And when I think about those things, I think about your father, our dad. He was all I can describe Dad is he had great foresight, and he had great understanding of people, and especially of me, I suppose being his son and what have you. He knew how to press my buttons, and he knew how to get the best out of me. But at times, I used to watch my dad, I used to feel sorry for him because he was a hard worker, and he used to be really strong when I used to see him working in the scrub and everything else, because I'd be working beside him. But there was moments when he would be resting, and he would be teaching me how to be a billy boy, how to light the fire, how to boil the billy can, how to get food ready for the boys and everything else, And I learned a lot from that, those little things I wanted. And those are the experiences I had. But I suppose the greatest experience I ever had with them, and I always remember this, is one time we finished cutting the scrub, and we were right on top of the hill here. And we were looking over Hawke's Bay because we were a territory there, cutting scrub. And we were looking on Hawke's Bay and Napier and everything else. It was beautiful, beautiful. And he said to me, and I was rubbing my hands, because my hands had blisters on them because I'd been working, cutting scrub for the last couple of weeks. And you get big blisters on your hands, and your hands go calloused and hard and everything. Well, at this time I was rubbing them, and he looked at me and he said, "Let me show me your hands." So I showed him my hands, and he said, "Okay." And he said this, he said, "I'll never forget this." He said to me, "Son, do you want to use your hands, or do you want to use your bones? Only you can dictate that. Now you've had to show with your experience with your hands. Now, why did you look at the other way?" And I thought of that for a long time. And I thought to myself, he's right, If you want to get on in this world, you've got to use your hands and your head, And that's when I joined the police force as a young age. And I always appreciate that for that.
He's a good man. If you could live your life again, what 3 things would you do differently?
Well, I think the first thing I would do, and Mum would bear me up, let's say, Mum always wanted me to go to university. But I wanted to play sports, I wanted to play rugby, I wanted to chase girls, I wanted to have dances and everything else.
Chase one girl.
And you can't have university and do that other stuff. So I decided to do this other stuff. And if I had my life over again, and what I know now, especially that I'm lecturing at university in Australia, I would probably go for my, I would go for a higher degree or whatever, you know. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is never change my life. I would hope to see Eliza marry again, go through the whole process. Because my life, my married life, has been a good life.
Especially when that last born came around.
Yeah. And my baby was born, and all my children, and I really enjoyed all my kids and whatever. And I've enjoyed, and the third thing I think, is that I never change it too, is I love for the extended family, the family and everything else. Because, you know, they've been a lot to me, Sharon and all that lot of North Auckland, and all you lot in Hamilton, and all that lot down here. And I get very close to them. I think one of the most intimate moments I had, I was sitting on the stand with my brother Baldy, and old Marco came up to me. She said, you know, she said, I could see you taking us anywhere else but leading us up here. And I was touched by that. You know. And I always put it there, she said, your dad led us for a long time. And she nice to see the sons do. Yeah. I quite appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about your sporting career now. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I was rather fortunate as a young person. Dad and Mum sort of encouraged me to get into sports, and so I did. And when I went to Warwick College, I got into the athletic team quite easily, actually. And I was rather fortunate. Mum was a good sewer, and Mum used to sew me these shorts, these silk shorts. Of course, I liked it to run in and whatever.
Yeah.
And then they had the gold brand for Warwick College on the side of it. And I was quite taken up by that. And it was Mum actually that talked Daddy to get me some running shoes, you know. And of course there was a Mrs. Rachel in Mara, there was an athletic, she taught me how to run these running shoes. And I was quite appreciative of that. But then again, you know, like everything else, we take it sort of half-heartedly. And I won the Hawke's Bay 100 yards and Gisborne Poly 100 yards. And I was supposed to come down here for the National. And somehow or other, I never got down here. I don't know what happened. But it was partly through the lack of myself too. I mean, it was between coming down here and going down the river to swim over there, swim with my mates. I'd go down to the river, you know, because have a lot of fun down there. Or go down to the sand hills and play, you know. But that was my problem, I think, you know. And
Tell us about your rugby career.
well, when I went to Warwick College, I was the youngest one to get in our first 15. And then I felt that I enjoyed it because I had some good coaches there. And then I went to Hamilton, and then I played in our missionary team, but the coaches were Old Cleo, Tucker Panere, and Harry Puke, you know, all three great men. And we won the competition that year, you know, and we were selected for other things with reps and whatever. And then I went back to college the next year, and but that was an experience and a half. There was the first 15. The first 15 from Warwick College, they had to play Hamilton Boys High. But Hamilton Boys High thought they weren't good enough for us. So they put in their third 15 against the first 15.
Yeah.
And so Jones and obviously said, okay, if that's how you want to play it. And we went to about 60 points to 0. So they said, okay, we'll put you up against our first 15 and we'll show you how to play.
Yeah.
So the next week we got in, and I remember Ken Garrett, he was standing beside me, he said, yeah, those cheeky buggers. Think they're going to put 15 against us, you know. So we played them, and we whopped them about 15-3 or something, and it was the first time the Hamilton Boys High had ever been beaten by an outside team. Then we went to Town Middle, and we beat them because they were the top rugby high team of the year. And they couldn't get over this team that just started up.
Yeah.
And they all thought we were men because we used to go to the games on these big American Yankee cars, you know. And we all had long pants and different coloured shirts. And they all thought we were married men when we played them. And that was interesting. And then I left there and I went to play at Napier. And I played for, and Uncle Eric Tamayo was the coach for MAC. And he said to me, I remember him when we went to practice with him, He said, boy, I'm not going to put you on first because I want you to make a name for yourself, to pick your reputation up. And he said, I'll give you the chance. And I said, okay. Well, the first game they played, the fellow got hurt. And of course I went on, we were losing about 21 points to 3 or something. And then I went on the field that day and I got 6 tries. And we beat that team. And from then on I became a regular member of the MAC team. And then was playing for another team, we were playing against this police team. And we beat them and I got picked for Hawks. I just got picked that Friday and this is the way you play for Hawke's Bay the next day. And I got a shot my life. And that was quite a lot of putting on that jersey.
I can recall you being in the paper quite a lot
Yeah.
when you played rugby. What position did you play?
I used to play wing 3/4. But and then again, you know, it was me again too, because I lacked that enthusiasm. And if I would have put a bit of salt in it, I would have gone a lot further. Because I was supposed to come down here for All Black trials. And me and my mate, we got diverted. We would have ended up down here, you know. Because you don't do that usually, you just get dropped suddenly. And the rugby almanac had picked me and another person as the 6th most promising All Blacks for the future All Blacks. But it was ourselves that led us there. Yeah. And then I ended up playing for Tower, playing for Wellington Maoris. I even played league for Wellington. But that's another
I
story.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Dipping coast.
Was rugby your only sport? Because you know, I know you had many talents. What other sport?
Well, I played League 2, and I was going to the fraternity team with the fraternity that was over top at the time. And we won the competition. And then I got selected for the senior Wellington game, but I changed my name to Wayne Williams. Because my name was Wayne William Wayne.
Yeah.
Sorry. But when I put my name register, I put their name as Wayne Williams, and that's how I got recognized. And the fellows used to say to me, where's the same fellow like you? But his name was Wayne Williams. I said, oh yeah, that's my twin brother. Because in that time, it was taboo to play league and rugby. You couldn't play both games.
Okay, you've got your grandchildren and your children sitting down here. What would be the most important thing you could give?
To my children, my grandchildren?
Mostly to your grandchildren.
Well, I remember when my Jeremy came down the second time to start when we got in trouble up in Auckland, right area. We sat him down, and I said to my grandson, I know you've been through a bad life and what have you, but I want you to know this, that the greatest message I can give you, my grandson, is to know that we love you, and we cherish you, and you're very precious to us, and we want you to make good. And Nanny and Grandpa will do our utmost to help you in developing and bringing out the great personality that you have for good. And I said, and of course, when you come and live with us, there's certain rules in the house. And he said, what's that, Grandpa? Well, one of the rules in the house, you go to church. He said, okay, Grandpa. The next rules of the house is that you don't show any disrespect to your grandmother. And he said, oh, I'll never do that, Grandpa. And I said, the other thing, son, is that you ever get anything to say about anything, you talk to us about it. So we know. If you don't tell us, we don't know. And he said, I think, Grandpa. And ever since that, he's been talking to us every night. And there's something like Ryan. Ryan loves talking to me too. And I like talking to them. Give them direction in their life. And I think what the most important thing to say is to listen to what they have to say. Because if you listen to what they have to say, they're asking you for direction, or they're asking you for counsel, and just that they don't know how to do certain things, you know? And you tell them, and they suddenly say to themselves, oh, yes, now I know, now I understand that. And then they go and actually do things better. Yeah. But the big thing about my grandchildren is that, like Logan here, you know, she's part of our household, that girl. And I can't live without that girl without her being in my house. Because I can see her, and she's in a safe place. And her grandmother always there to protect her right here. And that's all I want for my grandchildren, to be in a safe environment where I learned this from my mother, that if you feed them and you keep them full, they will always be happy. And that's what Elas and I have always done. Elas has done it all the time. She feeds her grandchildren up. Away they go outside. You don't see them until about 3 or 4 hours later when they're hungry again. You know? And at night, when they're tired, they just go to sleep right out. You know?
That's true. What about your brothers and sisters? What advice would you give them?
Well, to my brothers and sisters, all I can say is that I love them very dearly. And I've got very, very close to Moldy over the last several years because of his position, you know. And your brother Baldy he's got a really deep love in himself for people. And he's got that lovely sweet spirit that my dad's got, you know. He can relate to people, he can talk to people, and people just go up to him and say, you know, President Toriga, and he talks to them in a way that it's not demanding, it's not directive, it's not as if it's an order. It's like a sweet commandment, you know, with a lot of love. And Baldy shows that. Well, with you out here, well, you and I have sort of grown up together with Mum and Dad for a long time. We went through life together for a long, long time. And we got to know each other very, very well, you know, and with your husband and whatever, in your family. And with my other siblings, like Henry, I really miss him, you know, because of all my brothers and sisters, he's the one that's a real loving man, you know, and you can sense it. And if you get hurt or anything, you can see the pain in his eyes sometimes, you know, when you're hurting and when you're in pain and whatever. But he's made a decision. He's made a decision to go with it. And I support his decision because he wanted to change, but he misses his children very badly. I know he does. And at times I know he wishes he was here. As for Sharon, well, Sharon's always been my dear little sister. Ever since she was a baby. And I've always supported that one. But she's done the same thing to me. She's returned a lot of love and a lot of kindness to me. Your sister Eva, well, she's been an individual spirit, that one. And she's still doing her individual thing. Sometimes I would clip her in the ears, but then again, she is my baby sister. And I wanted to come back, and I told her that about 8-9 months ago. I said, "Sis, I want you to come back to church. I want you to get yourself right again." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, this reason is for the salvation of your soul, and it's a salvation of my soul." She said, "How comes your soul?" I said, "One day I'm going to face your father, and your father's going to ask me, what have I done to bring your sister back? And if I can't answer that, I would be a failure." And she said, "Oh, I get it, sister. I get it, brother." So she's trying. She's trying all these things and whatever. And I wish her well to get back to church about it.
Cool. The last question. What is... Who have been your role models in your life? Why did you pick them as role models? And what did you learn from them?
Well, if I look back on my life, I learned early in my life that Jesus Christ was very important. And the reason why I say that is that Jesus Christ gave a lot of wonderful principles for us to understand and live by. And of course, this was followed on by Joseph Smith. And all these principles and teaching us and his life story and everything else. And that itself was quite revealing. And it built up my character. And it made me a lot more honest, a lot more, I respected my integrity. My name was important to me. I never wanted to deviate from my name because I love my name and I wanted to bring it great honor and respect because that's the only thing I've got. And that was important to me. And I suppose the third person in my life was Dad, my dad, because he influenced my life as a young person because of the example he set. You know, I got a couple of arguments with Dad a couple of times, and I deserted him, you know. But after those arguments, he used to sit and talk to me, and he used to be crying, telling me off, because he didn't like what he did, and I respected him for that, you know. Your mother used to belt the crap out of me, but it's still the same the day after. But I'm not hiding. Yeah. But your father was a lot different. He was a good, wonderful man. And I suppose the other person who influenced on my life was my wife. You know, she put a lot of love and humility in our home, and you sort of listen to her, what she has to say and everything else, and it made sense, you know. It made sense in how we should work in our life and everything else. And Alice has always been a great mother, a great wife, a great girlfriend and everything else. He was just a learner, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Can you tell me then what stands out most for each one of your children? What is the one
Yes, I
quality?
can. I can, and that's a good question, because that question is very, very important to me. My big son, I love my big son, because he shows a lot of concern and love. Although he can growl too, you know, and you have to live up to a certain level to his standards, so that he can accept you and love you in return. And my big son has done that. And the reason he's done that, he's got himself educated, he's got himself loaded with degrees, and of course he can stand tall with any other people in the country and stand with them and say, yes, I can do that. And of course, he's one of the very few Maoris getting such a high salary. You know, and I appreciate that, because he knows the importance of education, because he's now doing that to his children. To my granddaughter, Rita, she goes to the express school, but then again, she's learning and developing her life too. You know. And then I got my Richard. Oh, my Richard. I've always loved that boy, because he's always had a soft heart for his father. But he's a bit strong-willed. He's got his own way of handling things. But I've got to do it in such a way that if I tell him, he thinks about it, and about several months down the road, it'll click into place, and then he'll listen, he'll come back to me, and do that now. But he's got to think about it. But he's got a sweet nature, my son. And unfortunately, his first wife sort of never got that sweet nature out of him. That's what I say. My third child, my Hina Mari, well, she's got her father's greatest love, that one. Because she's a thinker. And she evaluates situations very quickly. And she's very, very helpful to her mother. And she's very helpful to her partner. And at the moment, she's the one that's directing our life, you know, to make sure that the mother and father are comfortable. And I really appreciate that, because she's got out of her way to do certain things,